Good evening, traders. It's Thursday night, the 20th of April. I'm coming on this evening to probably provide my last input for a while. I'm going to take some time off and get back to what I was doing with my other group. And I want to extend, once again, the opportunity to work with me. And if, in fact, this is something as a future trader you would like to do, I'm going to leave these on here. I have no idea whether they're up there. If you like, once again, if you're trading futures and you've been spending any time looking at what I've presented over the last month, maybe even longer, you probably would see some pretty interesting scenarios that can benefit your trading and your bottom line. Even if you haven't and it's something you're interested in, I strongly suggest you can reach out to me. I work with a group of guys and gals that trade and I provide this input every morning. And with the monthly fee, I do more individual assessments during the day, if and when I'm available, or if I see locations that should be taken into consideration. So that being said, I think what you really, and then of course the disclaimer is that you need to understand that no matter what, you're going to incur losing trades. It's inevitable. It's the nature of the game. And you have to accept that and you can't let it affect you. You have to stay in the game and continue to engage. What I'm trying to share with you guys is that these locations that I pinpoint, and it's super important that you need to understand that this is available to everybody. These pivots are simply available to everybody. What you should recognize as a trader, if you're really looking at this stuff, is how often and how nicely it trades around a lot of these locations. And it's your job as a trader to acknowledge them and engage in when they fire up and they give you a confirmation. So I'm going to break down today as swiftly as I can so you can get a really great idea of what, once again, I've been saying all along. And, this is the second day in a row. This market keeps starting out below this MA, and they continue to just eat it up down there. It started off early and made a low in the mid around 46 pre-open. Actually, this was the opening bell, in fact. And it took off and it ran them up to 57. And the reason it stalled at 57 was you have this MA right there. Okay. And I actually have that somewhere right here because that's going to be your resistance early. Once again, 9 o'clock. I always talk about letting the first half play out, first half hour play out, and you always get a significant move. You got this run up right here, and then was your entry right in here between 51 and 52. You could have taken this one, and your management is what you want to do with it. But you can just see that even with a stop, even a three handle stop, your stop's never in jeopardy. You can take your three, take your four, and be done with it, and then sit on the sidelines. You can see they pushed a little harder, and then they started topping out around 63. I didn't have anything much around 63, but it is. And then they rolled again around 10 o'clock, a little after 10 o'clock. There's another short right here. Double top. They broke structure. Got an entry around 59, 58. And that thing came all the way down to S1. There's five handles without even blinking an eye. And then we just kind of meandered. But you got to pay attention to this because I ran this because this is important. The breakout right here from 52. We stopped again, 53. We stopped again, 52. Another breakout right here. So you can see the support establishing itself early. And here was the breakout, another one around 56, 57. It's a tough trade being the MA, but the market has been kind of, and this one really didn't pay out that much, but it was profitable. if you're, it's all about your management, but, understanding how the market's reacting off it is, and here's another breakdown. Again, and this is kind of really chopped, to be honest with you. You don't have to take every trade. So we finally get back up to 62 and we kind of hold it. This was your resistance, now it's your support. And then you got the trade of the afternoon. You got these markets topping out at 72, which is just above your daily pivot. I know there was a little more gap left. It's not a perfect thing. You got to realize the market went from 42 to 72. That was a 30-point eventual rally. It's the first time, and probably significant, you're going to want to pay attention to it, that the market reversed and didn't hold and stay up there like it has been all week. And here was another short entry coming off of this is a pivot reversal. Your entry was somewhere around here between around 67, 68. You could take it even 66s. It's you are golden, and you really could have just rode them out. They kind of hesitated at 62, which was the old resistance slash support, and then they broke even further. They kind of just completely fell out of bed, and they came all the way back down here to 46. I mean, you could have ran this all the way down to 53 and been done with the day. That was actually S1, and they just completely kind of just took a hit and made bottomed out at 37. I don't really have much down at 37. I was away from the computer at that point, and then they just basically marked it up and closed at S1. So, point being here is there is a lot of relevance to these pivots, and really, if you simplify your trading, you're going to notice that as well. I don't believe in a lot of indicators. I believe that less is more, and you got to keep it simple. You don't want to confuse yourself. You don't want to get your mind too cloudy and pay attention too much. But if it works, it works. I can't knock it. So there's a ton of consistency here if you're patient enough to trade this and wait for these locations. And by doing so, you'll minimize a lot of your losses. Now, I'm not going to guarantee you're going to put on a trade from some of these key spots and they might shake you out. It's just nobody knows what the market's going to do. But just relating to these areas and waiting for the confirmation is going to show you a lot about trading and how price reacts to these little locations. So I don't want to put too much in your mind. I just wanted to show you how this has been playing out, and it's been really consistent. So, that's what it's about trading. You want to be consistent and, minimize your losses, but accept the fact you're going to have them. The idea is that you got to re-engage. It's just the nature of the game. If you're going to trade, you got to accept that you're going to have losers. But the idea here is to minimize those losses by picking locations of what that have higher probabilities of success. So that's MR Strategies. I'm signing off for a little while, and if you feel you want to reach out to me, you can just pop something in the box. Let me know what you're thinking if you're interested. I generally charge about 250 a month, and you can see that if you're on board with this, you're going to make that in 1 or 2 days easily. You can make it in 1 day. So, it's what you think is worthwhile. I'm not sitting here selling you a whole big thing here and asking for thousands of dollars like some of these other platforms. I'm sure you guys get swamped by all the wonderful platforms out there. And, I'm sure they do well. I really do. They have, but they also have steep entries. And sometimes it takes a little longer to understand what they're doing. I'm giving it to you in the most simplistic form. I mean, you can't it's fairly simple game if you really take your pay time out and look at it. I'm a big believer in the fact that markets repeat patterns over and over. And there's a lot of traders who don't believe that at all. And they won't even sign off on that. And that's fine. You know, I mean the proof is in the charts. They tell you over and over. Why are we stopping at these locations? Well, there's a reason. There's moving averages. Markets get oversold down here. They buy them back up. They get overbought. They sell them. And that's what extreme trading is really about. It's about being patient enough to wait for these locations and to capitalize. So have a great weekend, and I'm going to talk to you guys soon. Take care.